Hello grade 10s, welcome back to another video. So in today's video we'll be doing forms of ownership. Now this is the last chapter on term 2. I have done all the other chapters: sectors of the economy, social responsibility, and socioeconomic issues. Yes, so this one is the last one for term 2. So I've been posting for the past 4 Thursdays, so you can watch those videos if you just want to be up to date, and you're struggling with some of the topics for term 2. I have covered them, and after this video we will be moving on to past tests. So check on Mondays. From Mondays, next week Monday, you will have paper 1, business studies, and then the following week you will have paper 2, business studies and economics and so forth. But for Mondays, come check out business studies past question papers. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are looking for help with regards to mathematics, business studies, physical sciences, and economics. Make sure to email or WhatsApp Zane Tutors on WhatsApp, where we have a WhatsApp classes. We create groups where you get exclusive videos, notes, and question papers to help you pass according to the way you wish to pass this term. So don't miss out on these opportunities. Grab it now, because the prices will change next term on third term, but for the second term you only pay as little as 300 rand and 50 rand registration. Now let's get into this video. So here we're going to be doing forms of ownership, the nature of the business, number of owners allowed. So these are the characteristics of different how different forms of ownerships are classified. So in order for us to distinguish them, we'll distinguish them according to the name of the business, the number of owners allowed by law, what the owners are called, the continuity or existence, personal liability and legal personality, who shares in the profit, who manages the business, and formation procedures. So that is how we will distinguish between the different forms of ownership. Okay, so the first form of ownership is a sole trader. So a sole trader, if you are doing accounting, you know that you are doing financial statements for a sole trader in grade 10. And a sole trader, the name of the business, no requirements, can be chosen by owner. So any name that is an owner of a sole trader that you decide to name your business, perfectly fine by law. And then a sole trader is owned by one person, and the owner of that sole proprietary is called a sole trader. So the form of ownership is sole proprietary, owned by somebody called a sole trader. And there's no continuity of existence. Having a continuity of existence means that the business can continue to operate if the person dies. So if you own the business by yourself, you do everything by yourself. If you pass away, the business will die. Your children, if you have children, they will have to start their own business. A lot of puzzle shops are like that. They are sole proprietors, and when the sole trader dies, the business dies with them. And then personal liability and legal personality. So the business does not have a personal it doesn't have a personality. So if other forms of ownerships, we will talk about them, which if you register that business becomes a person. So that person is separate from the owner. It can be sued, it goes into contract in its own name. But with sole proprietorship, the business and the owner are one thing. They are not separate. That's why there's no continuity. When the person dies, the business dies as well. And then sole proprietor, the owner is fully liable for business debts, and there's no legal personality. And then who shares in the profit? Owner shares in all profits and suffer all losses. So if the business goes into debt, meaning the owner also goes into debt. And then who manages the business? The owner, or the owner can hire a manager. So formation procedures: easy and cheap to start, only trading license needed and must register with SARS for tax. And then we have the second form of ownership, which is partnership. Partnership, if you are doing accounting, you will be doing partnerships in grade 11. So name of the business, also no requirements by law. You can choose a name that the partners want. They can choose whatever name they want. Some partners like to link name to their surnames, and the number of owners is 2 to 20. So you can have two people. You cannot have a partnership by yourself. A partnership is between 2 or more people, so the limit is 20. Who are the owners? Partners. So the people who own the business are called partners. There's no continuity of existence. When one partner dies, the partnership dissolves. They have to start a new one. Okay, so sole proprietor and partnerships do not have continuity of existence, and personally liable, they are not personal. The partnership is not a legal person, so the partnership and the partners are one thing, just like in sole proprietor. And then who shares in the profit? Partners share in the profit, and they all suffer all losses, just like a sole proprietor. And then who manages the business? Some or all the partners manage the business of a partnership. Okay, so formation procedures: easy and cheap to start, only trading license needed and must register with SARS for tax. And then verbal or written partnership agreement is needed. So an additional formation procedure for partnership as opposed to sole proprietorship is that they need an agreement. It must be verbal or in writing that they are partners. And then we're going to look at close corporation. Close corporation, the name, letters, CC must appear after the name. So if it's maybe DBS, it must be DBS CC, okay, to show that is a close corporation. So the members in a corporations is 1 to 10. So one person can start a close corporation up to 10 people, and then the owners are called members. Okay, and there's continuity of existence in close corporation. So even if the owner dies, somebody can take over the business in its name that it was registered in. So limited liability, personal liability and legal personality, yes. So a close corporation, a non-profit company, and a profit company are all have legal personalities. So they are individuals. They are separated from the owners. Okay, so it has limited liability and has legal personality, a close corporation. And then members share in all profits and suffer all losses. So this is the difference, is that members are liable for all the losses and they share all the profits. And then some or all the members. Who manages the business is some or all the members. And then we have what we call formation procedures. So formation procedures of close corporation: name must be reserved with CK7, founding statement registered with registrar CK1, and any amendments are easily done with a CK2. So there has to be other additional things that are needed, is that there has to be what is this others, let's say other characteristics is that no annual general meetings required. So it's not a mandatory to have annual general meetings in a closed corporation. But in a non-profit company, the name of the business, if you say Bokang, it must have NPO at the end. So you must show that this business is a non-profit organization. So the number of owners is not available, and then the owners of the business are called members or directors, and then it has a continuity of existence. Yes, there's continuity of existence. So it can, the non-profit organization, the non-profit company can exist even if the owners die. And then there is limited liability, And then who shares in the profit. In a non-profit company, money or property may not be distributed to members or staff after then wages and salaries. Money or property may not be distributed to members or staff other than wages and salaries. So they cannot take the profit of the organization. The profit of the company goes into making sure that the community is well taken care of, or whatever that they are doing as an outreach is compensated for. So a non-profit company takes care of a need. They are not there to make a profit, but there to deliver certain services to people. Okay. And then who manages the business? A minimum of 3 directors have to manage the business. And then the procedure is that it is more expensive and lengthy. You have to calculate with CIPC if you want this. Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. So a notice to incorporate and memorandum of incorporation needs to be filed with the registrar. Okay. And they must appoint official auditors. So if you have a non-profit company, you should have auditors who are going to come and audit the books of the business. And then profit company, which can also be associated as a private company, it must end with Pty Ltd. You can have the amount of shares issued by the company. So you can have 1 to a million, like not even a million, to infinity amount of shareholders. And then the owners are called shareholders in a private company. And then there is continuity. And then there's limited liability. It has a limited liability and has a legal personality. So a non-profit company don't have a legal personality but are limited liabilities, while profit company are limited liabilities, meaning the debts of the business are not the debts of the owners, and the business has a legal personality, so it's identified as a legal person. And then here we have who shares in the profits. The shareholders gets dividends, so we do not call them profits in a company, they get dividends. And then who manages the business? There can be a minimum of 1 director who manages the business, and the incorporation procedures are the same as a non-profit company. And private companies must appoint audit committee, and social and ethical committee must appoint auditor and have financial statements independently reviewed, and must appoint a company secretary. The same for all profit companies. So under profit companies, we have private company, we have personal liability company, we have public company, and we have state-owned company. Those are the profit companies. So if you are opening a personal liability company, the name must end with Inc. And then they can be the amount of shares issued. So you can start from 1 owner, and the owners are called members. It has continuity. Directors are full liable for the business debt. So it's not it's not limited liability. It's like they use continuity, but the owner is liable for the debts of the business, just like in sole proprietorship and in partnership. And then directors, who shares in the profits is directors. Directors and past directors are liable for debts of the business. Owners share in profit. And then who manages the business is a minimum of 1 director. And then the incorporation are as the same as the incorporation for all profit companies is the same. Let's look at public company. The name of a public company must end with Ltd. The amount of owners, it can be 1 to like a lot. They just sell shares, so they can sell as many shares as they want. And then members or owners of a public company are called shareholders. And then there is continuity, there's limited liability, and it has a legal personality. So remember, public and private company have limited liability and has a legal personality. and a closed corporation. Okay, closed corporation, private company and public company. Closed corporations are no longer being opened, and existing closed corporations are asked to convert into private companies. So shareholders get dividend on shares, and amount of directors that run the business can be a minimum of 3 directors. So you cannot have less than 3 directors managing a public company. And then let's talk about state-owned companies like ESCOM, or Centleg. The name must end with SOC. They can sell from one share to a lot of number of shares. So owners of the state-owned company are called shareholders, and then there's limited liability, and then state-owned companies is also has a limited liability and has a legal personality. So state-owned, public company, private company, and closed corporation have limited liability and has legal personality. And then in a state-owned company, who shares in the profit most or must generate own income. Profit belongs to the government, which is the state. And then who runs the company? The state manages company through directors. Minimum of 3 directors are needed. So the incorporation of all profit companies is the same, and they are required to have audit committees, must appoint a company secretary as well. Let's talk about cooperatives. Cooperatives must end with cooperative at the end. So there are a minimum of 7 for agriculture. If you are starting an agricultural business, there must be 7 members. If you are for a minimum of 7 for agriculture, and a minimum, yes, if you are just a trading business whereby you are selling toilet paper or whatever, you must have a minimum of 25 members. So the owners are called members. There is continuity. So if somebody dies in the cooperative, the cooperative is still able to continue. There's limited liability and a legal personality. So a cooperative also has a limited liability and legal personality. Members share in profit. Board of directors, the board of directors chosen by members. So the who manages the business is chosen by the members. Many legal formalities involved. There are many legal formalities that are involved in a cooperative. Book must be audited. So we are going to look at advantages and disadvantages of different forms of ownership. Now you know the characteristics of each. Now you can say the advantages and the disadvantages. The advantages are the positives and the disadvantages are the negatives. Okay, so advantages of a sole proprietor, someone who owns the business by themselves, where if they die or they are sick and not able to work, the business dies. You can already come up with advantages and disadvantages from that. So advantage is that it's easy and cheap. There's quick decision making because you're the only one who owns the business. Owner gets all the profit. Owner is eager to succeed. Gains all-rounded experience because they work in different departments. You know the 8 business functions. In a sole proprietorship, one person does all the 8 business functions. So close contact with customers, suppliers, and employees because you are doing everything by yourself as the owner, and no formal documentation is needed. And then the disadvantage is that owner focus on same area and neglects others. So if you're doing 8 business functions, you cannot excel in all of them. That is the point. So owner is overworked, no continuity. If the owner dies, the business dies. There is unlimited liability. So the debts of the business are the debts of the owner. And then capital is limited because it's only one person. But if there are a lot of people contributing money towards the business is able to grow to greater heights. There's no job security because if the owner dies, the business closes. Even if the owner has employed you, when they are no more, the business is no more, and may not be able to buy in bulk to negotiate discount. And then we're going to go to partnership. Advantages and disadvantages of partnership. A partnership is easy, quick, and cheap because more people are bringing in money. So there's more capital in a partnership than in a sole trader. Expenses, responsibilities, and tasks are shared amongst partners. So it's easy to get great credit, and each partner is motivated to make business a success, and all benefit from profits. And then the downside, the disadvantage of forming a partnership as a form of ownership is that partners may disagree, decisions take time, capital is limited to number of partners allowed, so you cannot have more than 20. There's unlimited liability. It means you are liable for the deaths of the partnership. One partner's dishonesty and deals affects the rest, and there's no continuity. One partner dies, their partnership dissolves, a new one needs to be formed among the people who are alive. Let's talk about close cooperation. Advantages is that it's easy and cheap, easy to change founding statement, has continuity, so it can exist even if the partner is no more. Limited liability, no annual general meeting required, and then financial statements don't have to be audited. So that is the brighter side of a close corporation. And then the downside of it is that capital limited to 10 members. If members act without skill and care, the member is liable for losses. So all the losses of the business, the members are liable for. The bank requires a financial audit for loans. So in order for them to get loans, their finances should be audited. Decision making takes time as all members are involved. So everybody needs to be consulted before a decision is taken and can lead to conflict. Close corporations are no longer being opened in South Africa, and close corporation owners are encouraged to open partnerships. It's not partnerships, so private companies. So I don't know if they will even cover this close corporations in class, but we're just doing them in case they do. Non-profit companies, which is a NPO, they do not use, it's like NGOs. If you know NGOs, NPOs are also like that. Other businesses donate money to the NPO for a good cause as part of the CSI programs, corporate social responsibilities. So advantages of NPO is that they are publicly responsible, which create trust. So people trust NPOs, can get funding from national lottery trusts and other agencies. So they can be funded by other agencies that fund good causes. Exemption of tax from SARS, so you do not pay tax. Has continuity. The NGO can continue even if the owner has died. There's limited liability, meaning the debts of the NPO are not the debts of the owner. And then disadvantages is that it's difficult to set up. Assets must be transferred to company with similar purpose when company dissolves. So you cannot take the assets of the NGO. It must be given to another company if you decide to close it. Must keep financial and accounting records. May make some profit, but may not distribute property or profit to members. So you cannot take the profit of the NPO. It must be used for a greater use. Must hold annual general meetings. So for a private company which has Pty Ltd, advantages is that there's limited liability. I've explained what is limited liability, so I'm not going to do that. I've explained also it has legal personality, has continuity, and members of shareholders allow more capital. So number of shareholders allow more capital. They can sell as much shares as they want. No annual general meeting is required. And then the downside of it is that complicated formation procedures, you know, to register with CIPC, cannot get money from general public for capital, can only rely on capital contribution by members. So a personal liability company, advantages is that no maximum number of owners. This is the, so you cannot have like you can have as much owners as you want, can raise a lot of capital as there is no limit to the number of owners. Directors are liable for the debts of the business. Guys, if you're watching for so far, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel to grow. Now we are going to look at public company. Let's wait for us to focus. Okay, public company, the advantage is that can raise large amount of capital because they sell shares to the public. You're going to do public companies in grade 12. Has continuity, limited liability in accounting. So the advantages is that it can raise large amounts of capital, has continuity, limited liability. It has a legal personality, can be involved in large project to benefit country than private companies, attract skilled staff as they can pay them well, offer job security. Shares are open to members of the public on the Johannesburg Security Exchange. So the JSE publishes shares from public companies. And then the disadvantage is that complicated formation procedures, failure can lead to a large scale unemployment because it employs a lot of people. Uncertain information can and uncertain information needs to be published by law. Annual general meetings need to be held, and many other requirements such as social and ethical committees. So the state-owned companies, advantages is that it's a limited liability. Government supports it. It has greater power negotiating contracts because it's a government owned, state owned. Disadvantages is that not a true form of ownership as government controls all decisions. Many other legal requirements but strict regulations. So regulated by PFMA before it may obtain a loan. It's difficult to raise capital as shares are restricted. And then let's talk about cooperative. This is the last one. Advantages of a cooperative is that it's able to control and stabilize price of procedure, shares in facilities, extra income, profit shares by members. There's limited liability, has continuity and better production due to loyal and committed members. But a lot of cooperatives have been failing in the past because of this huge number. And then we have disadvantages. Competition is tight, cannot pay high salaries. Success depends on loyalty, commitment and support by members. Shares are not freely transferable. Compulsory to audit books. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Until the next one. Now, before that, let's look at this question. This is multiple choice question. I'll just show them, pause the video or answer, and I'll show you the answers just for you to see if you were not sleeping during this lesson. So we'll only do short questions just to see that you are not sleeping and you can answer them. So this is answers for multiple choice question 1. These are the answers for the true or false question 2, and these are the answers for the match question. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Until the next video.